Alright, today we're going to discuss why people, or you, can't break bad habits. So, most people that try to break bad habits don't replace it with anything. So, let's say you want to break the addiction of, like, fucking porn or something, and you commit, no, I'm not watching porn today. But you normally spend like 4 hours a day on it. So then you're there sitting in your room. You know you're not watching porn, so you're trying to find something to do, and you get bored. And then eventually the urges come, and you have nothing to like do, no counteract, no plan, and then you just end up relapsing because you were bored, and you had nothing to do. So when breaking a bad habit, you don't want to like just quit the habit. You got to replace it with something. You got to add something to your life. Otherwise, it's just not going to work. And I found that most of these bad habits, like porn, video games, and social media, they all sort of reflect and give you a kind of idea on what you can replace the bad habits with. So, for porn, it's obviously relationships. What can you replace that with? I don't know, go hunting for a girlfriend or something. And social connection, go out and socialize with people, talk to your friends and family, and go outside and speak to strangers. And just spending time outdoors talking to people will seriously help reduce your desire and your urges to indulge in that habit. So instead of like when you see yourself having an urge to watch porn, try and tell yourself like, no, that's an urge to socialize with people and to connect and build relationships, very friendly or romantic or whatever the fuck floats your boat. That's what you want to be doing instead. For scrolling, that's kind of generally just like living life. Like it kind of really depends on what you're watching. You just gotta get outside. Go for adventures and just make your life more fucking interesting, and then you won't be sucked into the doom scrolling. And also doing good habits like meditation and exercise and going outdoors, and literally just anything will be better for you than scrolling. So you just gotta get away from the phone, get away from the technology, and that'll help you break that habit. Now, video games, that's a tough one, because I was thinking about this today. It's kind of like you can be and do whatever you want in this world in the form of video game. One moment you're a farmer, then you're a fucking construction worker, and then you're like in the wild. The next moment you're like fighting a medieval war, you're fighting in World War II. It could be, there's tons of things, and you can just sort of change and do whatever you want based on what your fucking desire is. Now, what games do you play the most often? If you're playing like those first person shooter games, you're probably more looking for something more thrilling. So you want to get in the habit of doing something, outside of your comfort zone or something. If you're playing games like, I don't know, like Minecraft or, that stuff where you're walking around in nature, then clearly the habit you got to do is get out in nature and go for adventures and shit like that. Video games, they're very different. Generally they are for achievement as well. So if you want to make your life more interesting, set yourself some goals. I do this all the time. I know this this video is really boring. I'm sorry. I'm just spitting facts right here. But set yourself some goals. If you want to make your life less like dull, less boring, set yourself something to work towards. Maybe try hit 50 push-ups at the end of the year or at the end of next year. Tell yourself, I'm going to do this by then. How am I going to do that? And work towards it. Make your life more interesting, because video games are really like a thing for achievement. Maybe start reading books so you get the goal of finishing a book or finishing a chapter. Go to the gym, set yourself a goal to lift a fucking heavy amount of weight or something, get a good physique and whatever. And the benefit of changing your goals to things that are in the real life is, like reading in the gym, is not only do you get the fulfillment from achieving them, but they also have other benefits to you too. Like if you're going to the gym, not only are you going to be fulfilled for completing your goals, but you're going to be healthier, stronger, and sexier. And and reading as well, once you finish a book, you're going to be happy that you finished it, but you're also going to be more literate and smarter, and you're going to have a different view on the world depending on the book that you read. So when looking at bad habits, try and toss them around in your head and try to think to yourself, what desire, like real life desire, are these habits replacing? What are they taking away from? And then once you found out what that real desire is, then all you got to do is start doing the real life variant of it, and then maybe, hopefully, your desire for the bad habits will come less. The moment I started setting myself goals to do all these things, and I had a clear direction of what I want to do, such as this business YouTube fucking thing, I immediately started playing video games less. I started scrolling less because I had something to work towards. When I spent more time away from technology, obviously I was not scrolling because the phones and that stuff was just away from me. I couldn't do it. Now, the next point that I want to talk about is delayed and instant gratification. If you can sort of grasp your head around this concept, breaking bad habits are going to be super, super damn easy. So stick with me for this one, right? I'm going to try and explain this sciencey shit that I barely understand to the best of my ability. So apparently there's this hormone or something inside our brains called dopamine. That word gets thrown around everywhere. If you know what it is, you can probably skip 20 seconds or something. If you don't, good luck trying to understand it from my explanation. Dopamine is this kind of thing that whenever you do something, it sends off a signal or reaction in your brain that sort of yearns for more of it. Something that it enjoys it makes it happy. And when we're scrolling, it's giving you these spikes of dopamine over and over again because it's a new thing to stimulate your brain. And when you keep poking it with reel after reel after reel after reel after reel, the video games, situation after situation after situation, it's just shit going all over, and it's just spiking that dopamine like fucking crazy. And then it just fries your brain, and then you become sort of fucked up. And then your dopamine baseline to what you used to is way, way up high. So you need a lot more stuff to feel happier and, sort of be stimulated. Whereas if you do the practices of meditation and reading, and you spend your time working towards something that's long term, that's going to slowly lower your baseline. And then once you've lowered your baseline, then doing the good habits become easier, and resisting the bad habits come easier too. For me, I used to scroll for hours and hours every single day, and my dopamine levels are fucked. I couldn't function without it. And to get rid of that stuff, I had to slowly reduce the amount of times I spent scrolling a day. I went from 4 hours to 3 hours to 2 hours and a half to 2 hours and 10 minutes to 2 hours to 1 hour and 45, 30, and I just kept going down until eventually I didn't scroll again. And I haven't done it for a long time. Sometimes I get caught in it for 5 minutes, but I'll be honest, when I'm scrolling for 5 minutes, eventually it starts to give me a fucking headache, because my dopamine baseline is so low that when I'm getting flashes and just absolutely bombarded by all this stuff, it's too much for my brain, and it needs to cool off. I'm okay, I can't do this. So that's what the dopamine sort of thing is. And it's basically instant gratification is instant dopamine. It just comes at you immediately. And then the delayed gratification is delayed dopamine. So you're doing the boring shit now, that in the future, then the results and stuff hit you, and you go, oh, I'm really happy I did that, and you feel super fulfilled and super grateful for your past self. So that's the whole concept. Now, what you have to do is, when you're replacing the bad habit with the good habit, let's say you're replacing video games with, going to the gym, you have to make going to the gym more fun than the video game. Now, look, I know that sounds next to impossible. Obviously, for some people, that's oh yeah, That's not that hard. But some people, like, the video game is just too good, and the gym is just boring as fuck. Like, you're just going there, you're standing there, you're just like, bicep curl, chest press, fucking pull up, row machine, whatever. And it's just shit. It's boring. You don't want to do it because it fucking sucks, right? But you have to make it more fun than the video game. Now, how do you do that? You reset your dopamine baseline. And how do you reset your dopamine baseline? Well, I'm going to say it. It's called a dopamine detox. Now, I know that is another thing that gets thrown around everywhere. No one really properly explains it to you, which is why I have made a little program, this little course thing, top link in the description. It's free, it's 100% completely free. You can ask me all the questions you want. It doesn't cost a thing, so you should definitely just join it because it doesn't really cost you anything, and you can learn the dopamine detox in there because I made like a little course module thing, and it's like a whole system that I developed myself. I have it here below this desk in a little drawer. The system that I use, and it's very effective. It takes time, but it's the right way to do it. And if you can do the dopamine detox, all you got to do is just gradually reduce the amount of time you spend doing things. Instead of playing video games 10 hours a day, try 7. And then once you've gotten it down to like 1 hour a day, then instead of playing video games daily, play it 5 times a week, then 4 times a week, 3 times a week. And then after like a few weeks, then try to play video games only twice a week. Every now and then you're going to fall into a rut where you just go for like, fucking 6 days in a row, and you're like, what have I done? But then you have to look back at your old progress and see, like, if you play video games 6 days in a row, those 10 days that you didn't play it before haven't gone to waste. It's not like the streak is just broken and all is lost. It's like, it doesn't work like that. It's over a long term, like how many times you've played it within a month or a year, that actually counts for something. And you want to slowly reduce it until eventually you're not even thinking about it anymore. And once you've gotten to that point in the dopamine detox, you really got to have like another habit that you can replace it with, like going outside and going to the gym. And as well, with those boring habits, if you just keep forcing yourself to do it, eventually it'll be fun. Your brain doesn't like it because it's not used to it. It's not used to that sort of change. It doesn't really like it. And eventually, once you're used to it and you've done it all the time, your brain's like, oh, yeah, I like that. I like going outside and feeling the beautiful air and listening to the birds and dipping my feet in the water and the sand. It's great. And that's about it. So go and do that top link in the description. It'll take you to the page. Not only will you learn the dopamine detox, but I have in the same course, it's like a bunch of stuff about the good habits that you can do and the bad habits, and it's like all that kind of stuff. So it's pretty good. I still got to record the module for the dopamine detox. I'll be real with you. Don't want to lie. But yeah, that's it for this one. Make sure you join that, and I hope you take away all those lessons with you. I'll quickly run through it again. So the bad habits, like porn, video games, and social media, are symbolizing something that you're lacking in your life that you need to improve. And this is most likely something that is a low dopamine thing that doesn't really spike your brain instantly, but it's better for you and healthy for you. So what you have to do is reduce the thing that instantly spikes your brain and stimulates it gradually, and slowly increase the stuff that's delayed gratification, and you just sort of swap it out just like that. And it's that easy. You're going to fall into a rut every now and then where you just mass indulge in the pornography or the video game or the scrolling, but that's bound to happen. It's always going to happen because we're so used to doing this thing. It's going to take a while to sort of fully cleanse your brain from it. So just gradually eliminate those things from your life, and that's it. You'll be sweet. Anyway, hopefully I'll see you in that little community, and subscribe to the channel and do whatever. I'll see you in the next one. It was a damn good video, am I right? Yeah. We'll see. See you later.